So you don't want to get scammed online. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to another episode of Ball Knowledge, a video series where I just tell you certain things about Airsoft and give you elite ball knowledge on it. Today's topic is going to be buying, selling, and trading Airsoft guns online. The used market is a great place to get guns, gear, accessories, parts, and other niche or rare items that you might not find on regular retailer websites for a good price. A quick disclaimer, if you are new to Airsoft, I would not recommend buying used. Used Airsoft guns do not come with warranties, so if something breaks, you have no ability to get it sent back to the manufacturer and get it fixed. You'd have to go through a tech shop or some kind of secondhand market to get extra parts and labor for them. So please, if you are new, just consider buying new. It's going to be a lot easier and a smoother experience for you as you start Airsoft. A lot of local Airsoft fields will typically run swap meets or trade meets. Strikeforce Sports runs their Bacara market here in Farmingdale, and it's always a great place to find used gear for a good price. A lot of people tend to overlook or ignore the used market online because it's a little bit sketchy to just Zelle or PayPal somebody and watch your money go into the abyss and have no guarantee of a gun coming back. But I'll tell you a few things on how to be safe with your money and make sure that your gun is ready to go if you are buying, selling, or trading. Used markets online include things like Reddit, r/Airsoft Market. There's also the Canadian version of those subreddits as well. That's a great place to sell online. There's a whole flare system so you can see who's trusted, how many transactions people have had. It's also a little easier to tell if somebody's a scammer on that site because there's different things that you see in terms of verification for these users on Reddit. I tend to use Discord a lot. It's a little bit sketchy because Discord has had some trouble and problems with selling Airsoft replicas and anything firearm related on their site. So you just have to be a little bit careful on which servers you join and how you word certain things on Discord. But it's still a great place to sell, especially since you can get tighter communities and people who trust each other and vouch for each other on Discord. Of course, there's certain verification things that you need to do for some of these subreddits like Airsoft Market. You have to have a certain amount of flair and time on Reddit to be able to sell there. And some Discords will vouch and verify your account once you join and make sure that you are a trusted person and a real human who's trying to sell, buy, or trade on their Discord server. There's some terminology you need to know before getting into the used market. There is timestamp. Timestamp is a written physical piece of paper with your name, the current date and time, and often the name of the forum or server you are selling on, and that is placed on or around the product you are selling. This is proof that you physically have the item on hand at the current date and time you are posting, and it's also an insurance factor for other people just to make sure that you haven't already sold the item or never had it in the first place. This also prevents scammers and other people trying to take your photos and pass them off as their own. Markets like r/Airsoft Market typically require these timestamps to be on or around your product when you post a photo of them. This requirement can sometimes be waived if you have a certain amount of flair on the subreddit or server that you are selling on. For example, I have 63 transactions on r/Airsoft Market as of this date, so I do not need to place a timestamp because I have previous vouches and transactions as proof. Of course, this is always a courtesy. If somebody asks for a timestamp, just send one. It's easy. Just write your name and the date on a piece of paper and place it on your product. It's just good insurance and peace of mind for your buyer. You might see some acronyms like WTB, WTT, and WTS. These are want to buy, want to trade, and want to sell. These are just little acronyms that people use in their titles to make sure that somebody looking at their post knows what their intention is with the gear that they are selling. You might also hear G&S and FF. These are PayPal Friends and Family and PayPal Goods and Services, two different ways that transactions are held online via PayPal, which is a popular method of sending and receiving payment online. 90% of the time, I am recommending people to pay via PayPal Goods and Services or G&S. Goods and Services provides insurance for the buyer, so if the item becomes defective, damaged, or doesn't come as described or isn't even sent in the first place, PayPal will offer a claims system so that you can go through PayPal and get your money back. Now, the con with Goods and Services is that sellers have to take out a 3 to 4% fee from the money that they receive for this insurance service. Sellers will typically ask the buyer to cover this 3 to 4% fee. That is just a common courtesy that you see online. Now for the sketchier stuff, PayPal Friends and Family, Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, any of these uninsured forms of payment. I'm not going to say don't use them because I've used them and I've had positive experiences, but that's because you need to be extra careful when paying through these methods. Because there is no form of insurance, if you send money, anybody can just take that and then run away with it. They don't need to send a gun, there's no way to get your money back. It's going to be a very big headache and possibly end up with you being out a few hundred or even thousands of dollars. When paying with these forms of payment, make sure that you verify the seller and make sure that they are not a scammer. This can include anything like timestamps, vouchers from other sellers or buyers, as well as proof of their identity or maybe even a social media account or something like that, just to make sure that they are the person that they are and that they are selling their product truthfully. Vouchers and flair. Vouchers and flair are a method of verification for sellers and buyers. A person with a lot of vouchers is deemed typically by a community to be trustworthy and reliable when buying, selling, trading guns and gear online, but always make sure to just double check and verify these vouchers as well. You never know. Selling airsoft guns and gear online. Prices are always going to be subjective. People will deem certain values on certain items, but the typical formula for calculating this is that you take the new price of the item and then you times it by 0.7. So 70% of the item's value is the used selling price. Prices can fluctuate based on the availability of the item, how desirable it is in the used market, as well as certain other factors like rarity. Some pieces of gear may sell for only a quarter of their cost, while others might sell for their current market value, if not more. Keep that in mind when you are setting your prices. If your item isn't moving very quickly, it might be that not a lot of people are interested in it, or it's the price. It might be too high. Give it a little bit of a drop. I tend to recommend that every 3 days you take a look at the price, and if nobody's biting on it, just drop it a little bit. Shipping and handling is also something you should note when you are writing these prices down, because shipping can be expensive, especially for these heavier items like machine guns. I like to price my items as shipped, which means that the shipping cost is already included in the price so that the buyer can just send a flat amount. There's no need for calculations. It's just easier for the buyer and seller. But you will sometimes see people asking for additional shipping costs based on your location. That's totally normal and expected. Just keep that in mind. For those looking to buy on the used market, whenever you're looking at these listings, please make sure to note any damage, cosmetic wear, and what's included or not included inside of these listings. Some people will set up their guns kind of like this with a bunch of attachments to make it look nice, or it's their main gun and they just leave them on, and it will not come with those attachments. So just keep that in mind and factor that into the pricing as well. Always look for that timestamp that we talked about before, and if the seller does not have a timestamp, check their flare and vouch history, or just ask for another timestamp. Trading online is very, very risky because there's no way to get that face-to-face immediate transaction that you will typically see at local fields. When trading online, I would only recommend trading with highly vouched sellers. But there is several ways of going about trading online. One that I see a lot is that people will buy each other's guns for their value and then ship them to each other at the same time. This is a little bit safer because both of them have money, and if somebody doesn't send a gun, they can simply go through PayPal and charge back, or otherwise go through a claim to get their money back. I've seen this method a lot, and I believe it to be the safest when trading because both of you have bought each other's guns and can send them at the same time. It's also the quickest. Sometimes people ask you to send first. I ask people to send their guns first if we are doing a cashless trade. This can be extremely risky, so again, just make sure that you are trading with somebody who is highly vouched and can prove that they have the item on hand and will send it to you. And that's pretty much it. Buying, selling, and trading online is not as scary as it may seem, but you still need to be extremely cautious and smart with your money. See ya.